All right. Welcome back into the show. And today, I am super excited for this episode. Today, we're going to be just talking about some of the top 10 players that I really like in the NBA. Just players that are connectors, players that are really good role players and can create great opportunities for offenses, defenses, and to me, just winning players, guys that are just great role players that help you win. And I kind of made a list of these players while I was in the hospital and recovering from my pneumonia. I watched a ton of NBA and I was just like, it would be kind of cool to do a segment on these players and how impactful they can be. So that's what I'm going to do today. So I'm going to go 1 through 10, just a 1 through 10 little list, and go through each of the players that I really like. So let's start with number one. And number one on my list, and I think he should be on number one on anybody's list, and that's Derek White. Derek White is a sensational guard. He's a starting point guard, shooting guard. He kind of plays all the way around. I give more of this two on the Boston Celtics, and he is just outstanding, man. He's averaging 15 points a game, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. He's just the epitome of what you want as a role player. Okay, he's a hustler. He's led the league in charges many times. He's a fantastic defender. He can defend pretty much 1 through 4, like really talented, switchable defender. And he's one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA. He's just sensational. And those guys to me are just so much fun to watch. And it makes it even better to me that the assist numbers, he's at 4.8 assists this year. And when he was in San Antonio, he just showed off his passing in such a big way. His career high in assists was 5.6 assists per game in San Antonio. And he's such a fun player to watch because he's always out there. He's always hustling. He's just a winning guy. He's the kind of guy that you're like, man, the first guy I think of when it comes to a winning basketball player, it's Derek White. And I mean, you saw it in the playoffs. He was sensational in the playoffs, really helped them get back from almost coming back all the way from that 3-0 hole that they were put in with Miami. And AJ and I talked about him a lot last year. Like, we can't get enough of this guy. He's awesome. He's flat out awesome. And Boston knows it. I just think he's just such a great connector. And this is the definition of a guy when I talk about a glue guy, not really 3-and-D, but like a glue guy that connects people. He is the definition of it. He's just sensational winning player that every time I watch basketball, I just love watching him play. So he would be my number one name when it comes to this list and like how I'd want to portray it. So I just wanted to start out with him. Moving on to my number two guy, and I just kind of made a list. So like I'm doing this ranking just off the top of my head and who really really like, out of this. So it might not be in talent order, but hey, what the heck? Why not? And my next guy I'm going to do is Keegan Murray. Okay, Keegan Murray, outstanding forward out of Iowa. Like, if you remember him and Chris Murray at Iowa, it was some sensational stuff, like absolutely sensational. He is just such a good shooter, and in Sacramento, it's just been that story. He's played 2 years in the league, was drafted 4th overall. A lot of people thought that he should have been, Ivy should have been, was it the Ivy draft? No, it was the Scotty. No, it was the Ivy draft. Ivy draft. Yep. Because that 4th pick was either it was going to be Ivy or him. And a lot of people thought Sacramento would just go Ivy. And what do you know? Keegan Murray was their guy, and he's proven to be an excellent player in this league. Absolutely excellent. This year, he's averaging 15 points a game. Last year, he was at 12 points a game. And he's just a fantastic connector, same way. He's not really the best passer in the world, only averages like 1.5 assists, but he's a great rebounder. He can spread the floor very well. He's very tall, very athletic. And he's switchable. He's a switchable defender. He's not the greatest defender in the world, but he's the kind of guy where you're like, okay, we'll live with him switching onto Kawhi Leonard for a possession, or we'll live with him switching onto a guy like Kevin Durant for a possession. And those are guys that are needed. They're needed to win games. And especially in Sacramento's case, where they don't have the best defensive team and they don't have that many wings, he's provided a fantastic piece for that team just to fit and be that guy where it's like, okay, we're fine with him on the floor. He can create stuff, and he's starting over Harrison Barnes now. He's really creating stuff for that team, and he's just a really good player from Iowa. And like a lot of people loved watching him play that last year at Iowa because of how good of a scorer he was. So watching him flourish in the NBA like this has been really cool. And the fact that I'm talking about him as a second-year player in this discussion, I think is a really cool thing to talk about, because he's an awesome player to me and clearly deserves to be up near the top when you're talking about connectors and those players like that. So I'm going to switch over to another type of player. This is more a player that I believe in rather than like a perfect connector type right now. And that would be Jonathan Kuminga. Jonathan Kuminga would be at 3 for me. And he's been playing a lot better as of recently. He just got into the Warriors starting lineup, which is very impressive. Very impressive thing to do, because he moved Klay Thompson to the bench. And we all know Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson has been unbelievable. But the fact of the matter is, it's because Kuminga has been playing so much better that he's able to do this. And this is Kuminga's third year in the league. He was drafted 7th overall from the G League Ignite. And you've just seen these past few years him continuing to get a little better and better and better. He came in as a defensive prospect. A lot of people liked his defensive upside and things of that nature. And he's continued to get better. He's continued to get better in every way. This year, he's averaging 15 points per game, 4 rebounds, and about 2 assists per game. He's been good, man. He's been really good. And the thing is it's been constant improvement. He's starting to get better. He said some things in the media where it's like, meh, is this guy gonna, is he gonna actually be that type of player where he can become a star? And the stuff he said in the media has just been a little weird, but I've always just been a Kuminga guy. I really don't know why. I like his athleticism. I like his defense. I think he's a pretty solid connector. He can create some things there. And the Warriors definitely see something in him, because Draymond Green has talked about the fact that he deserves to start. He deserves the spot he's been put in. And I actually think with this new lineup of Steph, Porzingis, I'm going to talk about actually next, because I love him as well. And then you got Wiggins, and then you got Kuminga, and then you got Draymond. It's a good lineup, man. It's a really good lineup. It's switchable. You got a lot of guys that have high basketball IQ. I think Kuminga's IQ would probably be the lowest in that lineup. But the thing is he's a smart player. He can create things on the defensive end. He can, his jump shot has gotten a little bit better. His free throw percentage, you've seen it climb throughout the years. The 3-point percentage, it's not the best. The 2-point percentage is actually getting up there. 3-point percentage, I'm looking it up now. He's at 31% this year, which is down from his normal. He's about a 34% 3-point shooter for his career. So, you'd like it to get better from where it was, but I really think Kuminga's defense has been improved. He's getting a lot more physical. He's playing better back to the basket. So I think Kuminga has improved, and I really like where he's going, because there was a lot of nerves about him last year, but the fact of the matter is moving from 9 points to 15 points a game is really impressive from Kuminga, and I think he's playing better in that way. All right, a rookie. We're going to talk about a rookie, Brandon Porzingis. I do not say his name right. I never do, which is, it is what it is. But Pods, we talked about him a little bit last episode when we talked about the Warriors, and we talked about a little bit of Kuminga as well. But Pods was a guy that Matt Griffin called on this podcast. He's been sensational. He's from Santa Clara University. A lot of people didn't expect him to be a connector, like this talented. But the fact of the matter is he is this talented. He leads the league in charges this year, charges drawn, and he averages about 10 points a game, 4 assists, 6 rebounds. He just does everything. He does all the little things that matter in a lineup, which is absolutely huge. It's huge. Those guys create great opportunities to win games. And the fact of the matter is that Pods does that for the Warriors. That's why he's starting over Klay Thompson right now. That's why the Warriors have started winning in this case. He's almost averaging a steal a game. He's defending his butt off every single play. And the fact of the matter is Pods is playing better than Klay Thompson. It's just the truth. And, I really like his game. He's got a lot of interesting floaters and different tactics that he uses around the rim that has been very effective. And I'm not sure if he's going to be anything other than a solid starter. But the fact of the matter is this is what I'm trying to highlight in this segment. Guys that aren't necessarily those top tier guys that are going to be that. These are guys that have played their role to perfection and are growing. And that's what Pods is doing for them right now. So Pods, to me, is a very interesting role player and someone to look out for in the future as well. So we've done 4 of these players so far. I'm going to go back to a Cav that I talked about a lot last year. And, me when it comes to the Cavs. Like, I haven't talked about them too much this year. And that is for a reason, because of the fact that I was talking to AJ about this off camera, but I was like, dude, I'm trying not to fall in love with the Cavs again, but every time they keep coming at me, and I'm like, man, I like them. The Cavs are sitting at the 2 seed again, and I'm like, gosh, I'm trying so hard not to pick them, guys. Just so you know, I'm trying so hard. But I want to talk about Okoro, and a lot of the reason why I like the Cavs a little more this year is because I've seen a lot of improvement from Okoro. His scoring is back up to where you'd want it to be. His scoring was down a little bit the last 2 years, but he's back up to almost 10 points a game. And his 3-point percentage is up. It's up. I'm looking at the field goal percentages now. He's still sitting at 49%, but his 3-point percentage is up to 39% from 36%, which this is what you love to see. You absolutely love to see this. I talked about it with Okoro. They were just waiting for him to be able to shoot the ball a little better. And guess what? He's shooting the ball a little better. He's already an awesome defender. He's already an awesome athlete. They just wanted him. Dude, if you could shoot it at that 39% clip, that 40% clip, then we'll be good. And the fact of the matter is he's doing that. And that's what I'm really impressed with in Okoro. And I always love watching him play basketball. He just plays so hard, defends so hard. And he's a guy I really like in Cleveland. And sticking in Cleveland, I want to also talk about Max Strus. And Strus, man, he's another guy that was just awesome. Watching him in that Heat run last year, he was just flat out incredible. Flat out incredible. Last year with Miami, he averaged about 11 and a half points. This year in Cleveland, he's at 12 points and really doing just the stuff necessary. He's always moving as a shooter. I always find myself gravitated towards those shooters because they're always moving around. They're always trying to create plays. Like you'll see Steph all the way around. He's moving, he's screening, he's trying to make plays throughout the whole time. Strus is a similar way. He's really trying to screen, create plays, things of that nature. And Strus is also, he does other stuff too. Especially this year. Last year, you only saw 3 rebounds, 2 assists from him. This year, he's up to 5 rebounds, 4 assists. And that's very impressive. He got the pay raise, he got his money, but the fact of the matter is he's still playing really well and he's still playing at a high level. He's playing more minutes than he did before, but the fact of the matter is he's shooting better from the 2-point range, which is great for him. And the threes are still going in. He's only at like 34%, but he's a shooter. He's a shooter, man. He shoots 7 a game. And that's what you needed when you're Cleveland. Now you got guys like George Niang. I feel like there's just a little more shooting there. You'd like to see more from Evan Mobley and Jared Allen and those guys. But actually, Jared Allen's had a good season. But the fact of the matter is Cleveland's got a lot of guys I like. So if you're seeing me maybe pick for Cleveland in the future again, yeah, I might have fallen for them again. It might have happened, but I'm trying to stay away. But they got guys I like. Strus is playing better, and Okoro's playing better, and that's why they made my list in this one. So looking at the Cavs in the future may be interesting. All right, I've done 6 names so far, so I'm going to keep it going. I'm going to go with 2 more rookies on this list, and these 2 rookies I really think have been pretty impressive with the way they've played. And I'm going to start in Dallas, and that's Derek Lively. Derek Lively is he's an athletic freak, man. And I talked about it a lot in the Mavs segment where having these bigs have really helped Luka and Kyrie create more space for each other. And it's just given them size, which has really helped. It'll help them play teams like Denver. It'll help them play teams in the Western Conference that are tall, I think is really going to help them there. Lively's averaging 8 points and 7.6 rebounds this year. He was pretty solid at Duke. I think a lot of people expected a little more from him when he was there. The thing is, and I talked about it. I think we talked about it in our NBA draft thing with AJ and Anthony. Is the fact of the matter is, like, it was just a perfect fit for him getting drafted in Dallas, and that's what it's been. He's a guy that's just super uber athletic and is a great offensive rebounder, averages about 3 offensive rebounds a game. And he's just a guy that just fits in well with Luka. Luka loves those guys that cut to the rim and are a lob threat. And that's what Derek Lively is. So I think it was just a perfect fit. He's averaging about 9 points, 7.6 rebounds, an assist a game, 1.4 blocks a game, being that rim protector that they need him to be. So it's going to allow him to slowly progress and slowly get better. So he's a guy that's just thriving in his role, and I love watching him play. So that's part of the reason he's number 7 on my list. Let's move over to number 8 here. Number 8 is going to be, let's see, I'm looking at my list now. Oh, yeah, it was another rookie. We got Trace Jackson Davis, okay? And this is a similar one to Derek Lively in the fact that Jackson Davis is just playing his role to perfection, absolute perfection. He's been on the Warriors now for, this is rookie year. He came from Indiana, and a lot of people liked him going in. I think I was one of the people that liked him, and Asher talked about that Indiana team a lot last year. He's just a very athletic guy, and he comes in off the bench. He can rim protect, he can switch, he can do things, and he just plays well in his role. And the few games I watched the Warriors play, he was doing that. He was doing exactly that. He was exactly how I remembered him at Indiana, and it just fit right in. So I thought he was another guy that really excelled in his role. Not doing anything crazy, but again, I didn't expect too much from him. He was a late first round pick, late bloomer. He's not no pods or anything like that, but I do think he's been sensational in his role. All right, I'm going to do these last 2 pretty quickly. This is going to be a shorter podcast today. I want to do the 2 I'm going to do. The first one is forward Gigi Jackson from Memphis. In the Memphis game that I watched, they played the Milwaukee Bucks and beat them. Gigi went off. Like, he's just an unbelievable talent. He can shoot the ball. He can defend. He plays super hard. And the fact of the matter is like, he fell in the draft because he went to South Carolina. A lot of people didn't know who he was. He didn't do much because that South Carolina team didn't do much that year. And he's a very talented player. He was a top tier guy in the recruiting class of that year, but nobody watched him because South Carolina wasn't good and he wasn't playing well. He was like coming off the bench. It just wasn't a good fit in college. So I always said to myself, I was like, I'm going to look out for the name, but I don't know if he's going to be talented right away. But this Memphis situation has allowed him to be talented right away. He had 30 points in this game, was sensational throughout the whole game. He was defending his butt off, really made it hard for Giannis and made it hard for Dame in the front court. This was right before All-Star break where the Bucks were experiencing a lot of problems. But, looking at Gigi Jackson, I really think this guy has a lot of talent, and he's really showing it. He's balling out, and he's someone I'm going to keep an eye on, continue to keep an eye on. That's why he's number 9 on my list. But I really like him. I think he's a very talented guy, and will be someone to look out for in the future. All right, my number 10, my last guy I'm going to put on this list is Amir Coffey from the Clippers. And he's just been a really solid piece for them. A lot of people thought, I loved Marcus Morris on that team because I really thought he gave him identity, but he just got worse and worse and continued to struggle. But I mean, Amir Coffey has been sensational for them. Absolutely sensational. I think he's been their Marcus Morris, that guy, because he's able to shoot the ball. He shoots it at a high clip. He's lefty, which I love lefties. I love watching lefties. But and he's big. He's a long forward that can really create things and defend at a high level. Like, I really like him coming off the bench, and I think it's a very solid get for the Clippers. The Clippers just have so many guys that can, you know, put an impact on the game. And Amir Coffey is just one of those people to me. He had a great game against Golden State in Golden State when I watched them. And I'm really looking forward to watching Amir Coffey and watch him continue to grow.